A beautiful Thursday, September 11th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where we're honoring great Americans slaughtered 24 years ago and where another great American was assassinated just yesterday in Utah. It's the place where the brave, like the people we salute today, which are the people we lost September 11th, 2001. People like them have made us and kept us free. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers, that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, which I must note will probably be interrupted in just a couple of minutes by a press conference related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. A heinous but exceptionally well executed and coordinated act of evil. I was on WBRE last night, briefly, just part of the news, commenting on this. We have lost a true shining star, someone who was just courageous, beyond courageous, and he was on a college campus, something that he does, something that he did, something that he made work, talking truth to indoctrinated people, frankly. And remarkable. He was a remarkable person. I don't know who can take up that mantle. I don't know. It feels like everything's different today. It truly does. By the way, I want to mention that our tributes today were not specific veterans tributes. All right, we're going to go take the news conference live now on the Charlie Kirk assassination.
guys go here to a ridiculously old institution.
Our Veterans Tribute, which we're molding into a tribute for the lives lost on 9/11. Not only the civilians, but the first responders. And not only them, for the great Charlie Kirk. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his tremendous family of companies. Charlie Kirk was a leader. He was a clear thinker. He was someone who lived the courage of his convictions. And then on September 11th, 2001, people just were going to work. They were at work. They were responding to an emergency. And 3,000 were wiped out in 1 minute. And there is no doubt that the sick evil that caused that tragedy, if they could have killed 30,000 Americans, would not have hesitated. If they could have killed 300,000 Americans, they would not hesitate. If they can kill 3 million Americans, they will not hesitate. If they can kill 30 million Americans, they will not hesitate. If they could kill 300 million Americans, they will not hesitate. Evil is in the world, and we must not be too naive to respond. We must not be too weak or fearful to call it out. Our Veterans Tribute brought to you by our man and a true patriot, John Basiliga, and his great companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker seems rather unimportant, doesn't it? Today, sunny high of 78, much like September 11th, 2001. A beautiful day that day as well. Tonight, clear skies down to 55. Friday, sunny and mild, 78 again. Saturday, sunny and mild, 78. Sunday, partly sunny with a chance of a shower, 78 degrees. Alan Jackson, where were you when the world stopped turning? Commemoration of September 11th, 2001. Let's go to the phones. We've got Dan Naylor. He is not only a good man, he is the Lackawanna County Republican chairman. How are you, Dan?
I am doing very well, Bob, but, I just had to call in today because I think, on a day when we're remembering the evil and the hatred that took place on 9/11, it's no different than the evil and the hatred that took place yesterday afternoon in Utah. Charlie Kirk was a super, super bright individual, and I listened to him many times. And the thing that I would always say, that famous line from a movie, "You can't handle the truth."
Yeah. He was great, and he went right to the belly of the beast, our indoctrinative college campuses, youth who need to understand the truth, fact, and reality.
Yes, and it was very interesting that the day before yesterday, there was the club day at the University of Scranton, and we had representation there, and our people were just so impressed with this number of students that came up and expressed an interest in being part of the Republican Party. And I thought to myself that evening, I thought, boy, it would be fantastic if we could bring Charlie Kirk into University of Scranton.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
He can't be replaced. It's like a Rush Limbaugh. He cannot be replaced. He's amazing.
Right. And he showed respect. He'd end the conversation, and most of the students would take a jab at him.
Yep.
But he would say, hey, I respected your view and your conversation. Now we can move on.
Yep. Called it like you saw. Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All
Very
right,
good, Bob. We'll talk again.
Thank you
much.
Hey, Rob O'Donnell, our afternoon guy's on the phone. There's apparently been a development that they did not cover in the press conference, and it's our own Rob O'Donnell. Rob, what do you got, my friend?
Hey, Bob. It's been a rough 2 days here and another day here among us. But I have an update from my contacts at the ATF and the FBI. They said the suspect had fired one shot from an elevated position on a rooftop in an adjacent building on the campus. The surveillance video shows the suspect jumping off and fleeing in the area on foot. ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. The location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route of travel and escape. The spent cartridge was still chambered in addition to 3 unspent rounds on top of the Fed magazine. All cartridges have been engraved wording on them, expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. An emergency trace has been submitted through the ATF. SLC is working on leads generated for that trace. Firearm and ammunition have been taken by the FBI for DNA analysis and fingerprint impressions upon completion of forensics. The firearm will be disassembled for further testing and information.
Rob O'Donnell, our afternoon show host, 3 to 6, is on, former New York City detective. You never take your detective hat off, which is great, and makes your show so valuable. Take that point. By the way, I want to congratulate you, Rob. I told the audience yesterday that you had the pleasure of doing the opening prayer for the Pennsylvania State Senate yesterday, and then you were on your way home. You deal with this or have to see this crazy stuff. But Rob, I had said this on WBRE News last night. I'm not sure what part of the interview got on air. It seemed like a coordinated attack because I said this. I said it was in the midst of his transgender response, which happened to be the second question brought. And I said, so the questioner and then the people who, particularly the one older guy who they had down on the ground, who made himself look like a suspect to distract the limited law enforcement they had on site to let the shooter get away. Man, this seemed like a well-coordinated attack, specifically as it related, and I said this, I believe it, and you may have confirmed it, by a transgender sicko.
Yeah, I mean, we just know the ideology based off the engravings on these bullets, if that turns out, and that's coming from the ATF here. You do have, and I know the FBI is looking at individuals that were closer to Charlie Kirk, the individual that we had the video being put in custody, the older gentleman who screamed out, "I have the right to remain silent," and then later, as he was being taken away, was yelling, "Shoot me, shoot me," who was later let go and ruled out. But they do know who that person is. They are also looking at individuals that may have given a sign, a visible sign, like shaking their hat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's being looked at deeply. And then they'll cross-reference all social media platforms and past contacts. And if they can connect any of those individuals to the shooter, they will be held just as responsible.
I see it as a set-up killing field of Charlie Kirk yesterday. A setup. They were prepared to distract, knowing, what did you have, 6 campus police, level of training unknown, Charlie's own small security detail, which is more interested and more focused on bodily safety from up close. I think this was really, sadly, well coordinated by some very evil, sick people.
Yeah, and I think this may change the dynamic moving forward of these types of events. Are they all going to have to be held indoors, or is something else going to change?
Yeah,
a lot of unknowns right now, Bob.
Crazy stuff. Rob, thank you for checking in. If I'm on the air for a couple more hours. You hear anything more of significance, please call in.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Rob O'Donnell, our own Rob O'Donnell. Hey, we've to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. It is September 11th, 2025. It is not only the day after the Kirk assassination, which is a new day and a darker day for America, but it's the 24th anniversary of probably the darkest day in American history. We'll take a break and be back. Murph picked great music today. Daryl Worley, Have You Forgotten? Bob Cordaro back on the program. Rob O'Donnell with a quick update. He says the Utah Commissioner of Public Safety, Bo Mason, said we do have good video of this individual. We're not going to release that at this time. Rob says that he thinks they may know who the shooter is and are in the process of tracking him down. We'll keep you updated on that issue. We have so much to deal with and talk about today. We thought today would be just a normal September 11th. Now think of that, a normal September 11th commemoration, it being the 24th. As you may recall, last year we had Rob O'Donnell, who was on site, Nikki DeSando, who was on site, with my friend Mark Mayer, who lived within, 1,000 feet of the World Trade Center. And, so we weren't going to do all that today, but we were going to commemorate this. And then the slaying of Charlie Kirk really takes it's in the way. It's something we need to deal with as well, and probably of a piece of the same type of ideological evil that felled the thousands on September 11, 2001. Razor's on the blower from Peckville. How are you, Razor?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good.
So I just want to start with God blessing America and God blessing the families that got affected by 9/11. But I would talk about Charlie Kirk. So his big thing was changing the thoughts and their minds about their thoughts. They just changed them. He got millions of people to vote, and I think he really had he was probably one of the main people that got Trump elected this year, and maybe in 2016, but I don't know what happened then. So we've got to honor that in some way. And I'd like to speak to the people, and I know a few of them, that voted for the first time when they voted for Trump, and probably maybe the second and third time when Trump ran again, but they didn't vote in the midterms. Those people have got, with Charlie gone, that's going to be a big hole. And you got to remember how quick, I spoke about how quick we almost went down into that rabbit hole in just the 4 years with Biden. Okay, how quick we went there. All the people that lost their ability to speak, people going on campuses to give a little speech, and they were shouted down and not able to speak. Is that what the kind of country we want? We need these young people that Charlie Kirk was after, and these people around, and I know a few of them. You got to vote in every one of these elections because these midterms are going to be important.
Well, and I think
we're in trouble.
Regardless of the politics of the people who were killed on that date, September 11th, 2001, regardless of how we carry on in terms of educating youth with the loss of Charlie Kirk, we have to understand that unlike our veterans, we're only called upon to go and vote. Get a ballot and vote. That's our job, and we've got to do it this election and every election, or they will take it back.
Well, you know what? And eventually they are, because it's going to happen. But it's got to be generations from now. How many? It was like 40 years that the Republicans were kept out of the House of Representatives. We've got to do that. We've got to get at least one generation, 2 generations in that changes. I think that the country's minds has changed a bit, but I think if the Democrats get in and if they take all of Congress, they are going to pack the Supreme Court. They are going to make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico states. We will be screwed. These people, and they used to call them the silent majority. That silent majority has got to stay as silent as you want, but you got to be ferociously voting, or we're going to be in trouble.
Amen. Thank you,
All right.
Razor. Pleasure.
Thanks, Bob.
Pleasure.
Take it easy.
Let's see if we can get one more quick one in here. I want the rest of you try to be patient on the phones. Judy Zabel from the Eagle Forum. Hi, Judy. How are you?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
Well, tough day
Yeah.
today for,
Yeah.
and by the way, not for me, but for Charlie Kirk's family and for the family and
Exactly.
friends and people who suffered from September 11th.
I'll tell you what, this week I am in Washington, D.C., and Eagle Forum had their annual conference on the Hill this year, and so we've been visiting members of Congress. On the first day that we were here, several members, including Speaker Johnson, came into our briefing and thanked our group, our organization, for staying the course. I was so impressed that my little voice can make a difference.
Yes,
And
it can.
I think we all need to remember that we are one, but we are many.
Amen.
And then we went to the White House briefing yesterday, and that was very interesting. It talked about all the conservative issues that are facing different parts of the president's cabinet and stuff, which was also very, very informative. And then Charlie was killed.
Yeah.
And I am saying, I don't know what is wrong with the liberals in this country. The Dems in the House, when the Speaker asked for silent prayer and someone requested an oral prayer, the Democrats walked out. Several of our members were sitting in the gallery when that happened. They started screaming and disrupting, and they walked out rather than to pray for Charlie's family.
Dear Lord.
And
well, they're godless. The left is
Yes.
godless.
they are evil.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I am. I just wanted to tell you about my week. We are coming home Saturday. I brought two friends along who had never been here before, so we came a couple of extra days,
Good.
to kind of tour and show them the city. But October 26th.
Well, Judy, let's not do that
2025.
now because it's after 10. It's 10:02. I've got to go to the news, but you can call in
Okay.
again next week. All right.
All right, it's
All
a
right.
deal.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your trip. Very
All right,
informative.
thanks, Bob.
Judy Zabel, Eagle Forum. She's our local rep. My Picardo Jeweler watch tells me it's 10:02:30, which means we're overtime for the news. We've got to go to do that. We'll take a break, hear the news. We'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:12 on the nose here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Thursday, September 11th, 2025, 24-year anniversary of the horrendous September 11 attacks in 2001. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to defend America, defend our values, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the first responders we lost on September 11th, 2001. We honor them today. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment. Paraphrasing President Trump, who will award Charlie Kirk the Medal of Freedom posthumously, he said in speaking regarding the September 11th attacks, "Out of darkness, the American character and spirit shines." And that's our job now. It's not Charlie Kirk's job anymore. In 3 years, it won't be Donald Trump's job either. It's ours. And we have to be, we heard Charlie on religion, on belief. There's got to be something that we have within us that goes beyond the ephemeral, that which we experience and see every day. There is something. Otherwise, this life has no meaning. And that's what people, hopefully, young people and others are starting to understand. And we have to believe Charlie Kirk's in heaven today. He fought the good fight. He fought for what he believed. He did it in a compassionate way. He did it with strength, courage, and he's to be feted for that. Speaking, I like going greatness to greatness. September 11th, Mother Teresa, St. Teresa. She said, "I heard the Pope, John Paul II, speak about peace. And one thing he said was this: no to violence and yes to peace." What is violence? In the first place, we think of weapons, knives, killings. We never think of connecting violence with our tongues. But the first weapon, the cruelest weapon, is the tongue. Examine what part of your tongue has played in creating peace or violence. We can really wound a person. We can kill a person with our tongue. Well, unfortunately, the areas where I sometimes take issue with Mother Teresa is we cannot dismiss evil, which occurred yesterday, which occurred 24 years ago today. There is no placating that. There is no naively accepting it. There is attacking it, which is one of the reasons we honor our veterans who make that commitment, by joining our military. Let's go to Joe from Berwick. Hey, Joe, thanks for your patience.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you, Bob. So just a couple quick thoughts. As I think back on 9/11, and I was there at work and actually watched a second plane fly into the tower, and there were three of us in the room, and we were in disbelief with what we saw, and had to call my wife that night because the entire shift at prison was told, "You're not going home." And I think, there was my wife, and this is a lot of stories. There was my wife at home with a 1-year-old daughter, and hearing all this and not knowing what was going on. And then, I'm sure she would have rather had me at home, but that's a lot of people who were in that situation. The other thing was, I'll admit, normally when I hear the morning show, I'm familiar with the individuals, and I usually just turn them off as soon as I hear them. They're not my choice. But I thought, I'm not going to be like that this morning. I left them on. I listened to their show in its entirety from that point. And I tried actually to call them. They couldn't get to my call, but I wanted to congratulate them. They did a great job. They really put on a textbook example of how a person should just report news and call themselves a journalist. And I didn't get a chance to say that to them, but I think, I'll say it now. And if you happen to see them, let them know somebody wanted to congratulate them, because I think they did a really great job this morning.
I will do that. I appreciate it. Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
this is a dual somber commemoration today with Charlie Kirk's passing and the 24th anniversary of 9/11. But I appreciate you calling in, Joe. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Bob, and you take care of yourself.
All right, my man. One of our great listeners texting, Bob, I have a heavy heart today for a few reasons, but the murder of Charlie Kirk is horrible. His voice, he was a voice of America, reason, and sanity. I want that cowardly murder found. I hate this. May that murderer receive the same as he got. God help us identify this despicable human. LTS. LTS back at you. Yeah. This is where we say, you know what? You're evil, and we are going to deal with you. We're not going to forgive you. That's God's decision. We are going to deal with you. We'll take a break and be back. Toby Keith, the great Toby Keith, the sadly late great Toby Keith, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. And, of course, that report from Winds in New York on that fateful, horrible 9/11. Andre from New Jersey says, I'm a survivor of 9/11. I had a part-time job in the World Trade Center, was not there that day. However, everyone in my company was killed. We were on the top 2 floors of the tower that fell first. I'm trying to call to tell my experiences, but the phone cut off. Andre, give us a try. 570-883-0098 for anyone who'd like to call and give their thoughts. Let's go to Frank in North Scranton. Frank, how are you?
I'm doing good, Bob. How are you?
I'm well. It's a difficult day. Certainly not not on the level of Charlie Kirk's family, not on the level of the people who suffered 24 years ago. But watching it and having these two events combined, it's a difficult day for America, I think.
Yeah, it is for me also. I can't believe that guy killed Charlie.
Yeah.
I have my wife, and I'm heading to the hospital. My wife's in the hospital. I just want to say,
God bless her.
I attended. Thank you. I attended the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony up at McDade Park this morning. It was very moving.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you could get your man to play that song by, I think it's Alan Jackson. It's where were you when the world stopped?
We started off the show with that. We played Alan. Yes,
Oh,
we did that
okay.
right at 9:20. Yeah.
Okay, I was not. I didn't have the radio on. I was just coming back from
the event. Yeah.
The event.
Yeah. Well,
But
I hope
I
hope your wife is on the mend.
Well, she fell. She was dizzy and she fell out of bed and she hit the night table.
Oh God.
Which is right next to the bed, and she put up with it for 3 days. She was in terrible pain, and then finally, 4 o'clock on Tuesday morning, she said to me, "I have to go to the hospital. Please take me." So I did, and they found out she has 4 broken ribs on that one side.
Oh gosh, Frank. Wow.
So she's still in there. So I'm going down to visit her now.
Well, you hang in there, my friend. Tell her we're praying for her, and thank you so much for checking in on this day. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I haven't talked to you in quite a while.
I know. We miss you, friend. You gotta get in touch more often.
Yeah, I'll try. I've been kind of busy. I've had a lot of things happen this year. I lost my older sister.
Oh, geez.
My wife lost her younger sister and 2 of her cousins, and I lost a nephew who worked for Ford Motor Company out in Kansas City, and he just retired. And on his 60th birthday, he passed away. It's just crazy. I've just been having a bad year.
Well, you hang in there, Frank. All right, and keep us part.
Okay,
You're part of our family too. You keep us in mind. We'll keep you in mind. Okay.
Okay, brother. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your prayers as well.
Yes.
That's what we need. We need to do that for each other.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Frank.
Okay, Bob. Have a good day. I love you.
You too. Love you too, man. The great Frank from the great North Scranton. Let's see if we get one more call in here. Luciano. Hi, Luciano. How are you?
Thank you, Bob, taking my call. I'm with my family. Thank the good Lord that my father and mother are still alive. Yeah, I'm calling you from Texas. I'm visiting my mother.
Great.
I got my father still alive. Thank the good Lord. I'm just gonna tell you, I can't resist. I'm gonna insult people out there. Listen, I lived in the streets many years, and you lived in prison. And the Bible states, Jesus states in the biblical word, in the mysterious Bible, there are evil and wicked people that live on this planet. If the apostles and Jesus said it, and it's good. God bless Mother Teresa and Bob. We haven't learned a freaking thing in 24 years. Since we have over 20 undocumented migrants running around this country. I protest against these migrants. I and other Latinos protest against migrants. They viciously, listen, Bob, they spit at me. They yell at me. They call me traitor. You think I give a hell? We have so many liberal, wacky liberals, evil, wicked liberals that caress and kind of patronizing migrants that have made it this country in the past 4.5 years, 10+ million people.
I got to tell you, let me say, so Luciano,
from our pain and suffering.
I blame the people who let them in without basically invited them and waved them in more than the people themselves, more than the illegals themselves. That's who's to blame. And
yes, I agree with you, Bob.
They did it with intent. But you know what?
Go ahead, please.
Because of the way they were let into this country, because of the ideology of the left that allowed this to happen, this catastrophe of an open border, none of these people, or many of these people, let me be more accurate, many of these people don't understand the American experience and that we must celebrate our ethnicity.
Bob, I see where you're going, brother.
But we're Americans first.
I agree. I'm going to attack you, brother. These radical left-wing liberals support migrants than they support American citizens. We have American citizens that legally entered this country, brown, Asian, white, black. This liberal mentality caresses these third world migrants. They don't care about culture. Listen, I'm in freaking Texas.
They hate our culture.
I speak to these Latinos. They're undocumented. I have to control my anger. Listen, I'm in Arlington, Texas. I'm about 20 miles outside of Dallas, Texas. You know, they laugh at us. They call us stupid gringos for allowing 10+ million illegals. And thank the good Lord, Donald Trump is building the wall. It's being produced. It's being correct. But I tell you, these naive white people, they are so stupid. These are Latinos will cut your freaking head off. Forgive me, Bob. You lived in prison. I lived in the freaking streets. I know how evil and wicked people can be possessed by demonic spirits. Bob, thank you for your call, brother.
All right, Luciano. Thank you. Oh, Lord. Well, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We'll do the tribute brought to you by John Basiliga, paying tribute to the people we lost on September 11th, 2001, and to Charlie Kirk. We'll be back. our Veterans Tribute. Today, it's a tribute to those we lost on September 11th, 2001. Brought to you every hour, every day, by a true patriot, John Basiliga, and his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality, J. Bass Realty, Eastern Roofing Systems, Serenity Care, and the marketplace at Steamtown. Part of all of that. We listened to the tragedy, and we listened to the phone calls and the last-minute I love yous from the people in the tower, from the people on the planes. That horrible day in 2001. We think of the passengers who said, let's roll, and took down a plane knowing they would die, but that they would save lives in the process. We lost part of America that day. We can never forget. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny, 78, much like a day which will live in infamy 24 years ago. Tonight, clear skies down to 55. Friday, sunny and mild, around 78 again. Saturday, sunny and mild, 78. Sunday, partly sunny with a chance of a shower, 78. Pretty good weather report. Aaron Tippins, where the stars and stripes and the eagles fly. Bob Cordaro back on the eponymous program. One of the things I noted also in talking to Avery Nape of WBRE WYOU last night was that I was encouraged. I felt like there were sincere condolences and reactions from people I wouldn't have expected from, like Nancy Pelosi, like Gavin Newsom to the Kirk murder. And I said, maybe this time. That's what we've got to hope for. We truly do. Let's go to Andrew from Jersey. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
Hey, but I'm a little embarrassed because I texted you and I wrote Andre and I didn't.
Okay.
Then I double checked, but that was my account. And I had a part-time job at the World Trade Center on the top 2 floors of the tower that fell first. And I wasn't there that day, thank God. But everybody that was killed in that horror. And with Charlie Kirk's assassination, I always think the Bible said, leap and jump for joy when you die for righteousness' sake. So he died talking the truth, telling the truth, and doing what he loved. And when I worked at the World Trade Center, I was doing a part-time job that was like a tech AV job, setting up a sound system, things that I was not interested in or not. So I was thinking, had I been murdered, I would have died wasting my time, where Charlie was the opposite.
Yeah.
And out of the horror, I wanted to recount, though, that we worked. My cousin hired me, and he was home. He wasn't there, which wasn't unusual because it was like a banquet place, windows on the world. Mm-hmm. So he would often be there later into the evening, which, of course, was good news. But instantly, I think of the chain of command. It's like, okay, Chris wasn't there, so that means James, the manager, must have been there. But James, then I found out through my mother, there was like information from my cousin that James extended his vacation for one day. He was supposed to be there and he wasn't. So that was awesome news. James is alive. But then Roston, the assistant manager, who was my best friend there, it's like, oh no, if James wasn't there, if Chris wasn't there, Roston must have definitely been there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was told, that he was there. And it was about 5 or 6 days, maybe even a week later. And my mom was telling me, I was like, well, maybe he wasn't there or something. And she's like, no, you're in denial. You have to accept. Sorry.
Yeah.
She said, you have to accept that he died. And then she was right. I had to be in reality. But then I saw the caller ID and it was his name. And I was so happy but apprehensive. Wait, maybe it's a family member calling. I picked up the phone, and I heard his voice, and I was just so happy. I couldn't believe it because I totally had accepted that he died, and it was just like probably the best moment of my life as soon as I heard his voice.
Yeah. And Windows on the World, every time I was in that building, and it was often, I would always go and check out Windows on the World, have a glass of wine, whatever, have dinner. Yeah, that was an extraordinary place and extraordinary memories that you have and so many others. Great stuff. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Waylon Jennings, When the Eagle Flies. Love that song. Bob Cordaro back. My friend Paul reminds me that one of the guys, and I knew this and know it well, a guy named Jeremy Glick. He was a University of Rochester grad along with myself and Paul. He was one of the guys who took the plane down in Shanksville. One of those courageous, incredible people who said, let's roll. But he reminds me there was also another U of R grad in one of the towers, an 87 grad who played football. And then he points out a classmate of Paul's from Abington Heights was on the American flight that hit the first tower. A lot of connections. Really something. Laura DeFazio was the Abington grad on that plane, and he says, nicest person ever. Worked for American Airlines and was heading to San Francisco. Row 6 of that doomed flight. Hey, let's go to Jay from Hanover Township. Jay, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Great. Your event was a success?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Golfing was great. The weather was spectacular. Tunnels to Tower actually sent a representative to speak to everyone, so that really added a huge amount of credibility to what we were doing. But great sponsors, the great Rose Scholar Trucking was involved, Johnson College, all the Walmarts and Sam's Clubs in the area. We raised over $10,000, and after paying for the golf, I'll be able to donate probably close to $6,000.
Nice.
So way above where I thought we would go for the first year. Basically, everyone that was in it, me and 4 other guys, we have no social media presence, you know what I mean, to speak of. So it was kind of just scraping the surface and doing the grunt work. But just wanted to let you know, since we been talking to you about it the whole time. So
I'm happy to hear that. Jay and his cohorts ran a golf tournament to benefit Tunnel to Towers, which is an amazing organization. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
We're pleased it was a success, and I mean beyond pleased. Thank you, Jay.
All right. Bye.
All right, my man. Let's go to
More independence.
Let's go to Donald calling in on Charlie Kirk. Hey, Donald.
Oh, Bob, a very heavy hearts today with 9/11 and Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
This man, he was a good. They could not debate the good, decent man. So it seems like they assassinated him. But like I said, with this issue here, with this transgenderism, it's just confusion on our youth to destroy normal society like America. I'm not against transgender at appropriate age like a Caitlyn Jenner or Chaz Bono. It's just that I just don't think it belongs in the education system. And if you can see it's filtered right into that campus. It looks like it was not even coordinated. It's no good. I mean, this is you got to get out of the education system or do something with it, because you can see what what's doing to our society.
You're going to see in the left stream media, as it comes out more and more clearly, that this was transgender sickness and ideology, and that I don't mean in any way that it infers evil to people who are transgender. I just mean there are there is a source and a core of evil in that ideology.
It's being done globally. It's a global operation.
They're going to stop talking about it. They're going to stop talking about this very quickly when it becomes clear. And I knew this yesterday because I said there's a reason he was shot at the moment he was shot. He was responding to a transgender question. And I seriously wonder if the person who asked the question was part of it. I seriously wonder if the person who started screaming so that the police would grab him and divert attention from the shooter was part of this. I believe it to be a coordinated transgender identity-based attack. That's what I see.
3 years ago, I called you when Rachel Levine was promoting those operations on those innocent children. These people are nuts. And that's what
Yep.
turned me. This is crazy. These people aren't trying to help America or unite nobody.
Nope.
They're trying to commit chaos on our youth. So once you get the youth all confused, you need more government to straighten it out. You know that.
Yep.
It just is no good, this transgenderism. I don't know, the different bathrooms, people fighting in restaurants, and I mean, it's no good. Have a separate bathroom and make the decision.
Well,
when you're
the thing they're telling
19 or 20.
the thing that the Democrat Party and the left is telling them is that we're trying to erase them. No, we're trying to help you. And
mental
we
illness,
accept
like
you
Vivek
as
said.
adults. We accept you as
Right.
adults. But we're trying to stop mutilation of children. We're trying to stop indoctrination of children. And when you make it the adult choice, all well and good. And that's your choice.
This assassination is like the Kennedy assassination is financed or something, it looks like. Everything was coordinated. Something. This wasn't a lone gunman.
No.
What we're finding out right now. This is huge.
I believe
I hope Trump gets to the bottom of it, and I know he will.
Well, thank God we've got
yeah.
no ideology in our FBI that we
Yeah, oh my
actually
God.
have people who want to enforce law, that want to find criminals, that want to confront evil in our FBI. Thank God for that, Donald. Honestly.
Like I said, the Democrat, I put it as dumb as what I think. If they really found out what's happening, they'll come around.
They might.
Hopefully.
Yep.
They have no choice.
Thank you, my friend. Always
If
a
they
pleasure.
love their country, they have no choice.
That's right, Donald. You know it. Time for the Bloomberg Money Minute. We're going to go to that. We'll be back. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me that it is 11:01, right on the dot, which means it's time for the news as we listen to Hank Williams. America will survive. Amen to that. We'll be back after the news. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Jeweler's watch, my Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's 11:11 and change here in the great Northeast this beautiful Thursday, September 11th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor those we lost on September 11th. And Charlie Kirk, the brave who have made us and kept us free. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this hour. Somebody texted in, Bob, just wanted to let you know if you had a chance to see The Five last night. I did not. Great show, and Greg Gutfeld is incredible. He really is. But I'll tell you this, so was Charlie Kirk. He was something. My man Gary Duncan sends in a sort of a meme via email. It's scary. It's scary because Charlie Kirk just got shot for doing the same thing we tell our kids to do. We raise our children to stand up for what they believe in, to speak with courage, to not follow the crowd just because it is easier. But then we turn on the news and see someone taken out because someone didn't agree with them. And as a parent, that shakes you to the core. Because how do we teach our kids to be bold and brave in a world that punishes people for exactly that? We want them to live with conviction, to speak their truth, to never be afraid of being different. But at the same time, we're terrified for the world they're walking into. It should not be dangerous to believe in something. It should not cost your life to use your voice. As parents, we're caught between raising fearless children and praying the world won't break them for it. And if you look at 4 incidents in particular, if you remember the Nashville school shooting, the Minneapolis church shooting, 2 kids killed in a church, 17 others injured, the Donald Trump shooting in Butler, PA, and now the Charlie Kirk killing. What did it have in common? What did they have in common? Sick, insane transgender ideologues. Now remember, not transgender people, transgender ideologues, evil people. That's just what is. And I called this one yesterday afternoon as one of you texted in that unfortunately it came to me immediately upon seeing the portion of his presentation at which he was shot. And as one of our great listeners says, that person who asked the question, and it may have been random, but I doubt it. May have been, hey, here's a question that comes up all the time. We will see. But a transgender question is when he was shot in his throat and killed in the midst of a transgender question. And I said last hour, it is beyond suspicious that the older man, it's a college event, the guy's at least in his 60s, raises a ruckus which diverts attention immediately after the shooting and allowed the killer to get away. I hope they have the name. I hope they have the person. Hey, let's go to Lorraine in Hazleton. Hi, Lorraine. How are you?
Not that great, but I just thought I'd call and say hello. And it was such a sad day yesterday.
Yeah.
And a somber day today. And the two together don't make for a good combination, especially on top of the way I already feel. So it makes it sadder. Yeah. And it just seems as though that evil is an epidemic. Too bad they can't come up with a vaccine for evil.
Yeah.
And, just like I'll echo those sentiments. Well, my mother always said, it just seems as though what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. And I even commented to my brother. I said, you know what? I said, it seems as though you have to be afraid to go out and say what you feel because you have to, agree with all the other people who are wrong, who think that they're right, so that you have to be afraid to get shut down. And it seems as though the nicer you are, the more you get walked on.
Well, Charlie Kirk, it is great consolation to me, Lorraine. I know that this man who fought for what was right, who argued for what was right, who was firm but patient with people who were simply wrong about myriad issues and probably every issue. He went into the belly of the ideological beast continually. He stood for what he believed in. He believed and had deep, deep faith. He's in heaven. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. And I think that that's the ultimate reward. Are we 31 years old or 64 or 50 or whatever when we pass, whatever age? Are we a child? None of it. Death doesn't make sense. It never will. But what comes after death, if we believe in heaven, if we believe in God, makes all the sense in the world and makes it all right. It just does, no matter what happens.
Well, those people on Flight 93, the real heroes, they're all real heroes, don't get me wrong, but they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were headed for, and they saved other people's lives in doing so.
And in dying with such selflessness and gallantry, I think assures your entry to heaven. I really do.
Well, no greater love hast thou than to lay down your life.
Yep.
For the love of your brother.
No.
And they said on the TV yesterday, I heard that I'm sure that Charlie was told, welcome home, my dear and faithful servant, and now enter into the kingdom.
I believe it.
So,
I believe it 100%. And he believed it just as importantly, maybe more importantly. In fact, definitely more importantly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. You hang in there, honey. It's all going to be all right. I promise that. I promise it.
Sometimes, I don't feel that way.
I know. But the ultimate end is a good one. And it's available to us. All right.
Okay, Bob.
All right, honey. You call. We need a poem tomorrow. You go through your stack and get us a good poem tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, I'll try.
Right. Thanks, Lorraine.
Okay, bye now.
All right, Lorraine. Lorraine from Hazleton. We're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Our friend Walter Griffith is on the phone, and we're going to get to him after this. Let's hear from our great sponsors. A little history, which, of course, revolves around September 11th. A little music, which Murph has lovingly picked. We'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. L.A. Guns. I wouldn't think that kind of music would make me emotional, but it did. Regarding the Let's Roll, and my fellow U of R graduate, Jeremy Glick among them, they took that plane down knowing they were going to be killed. They knew it, and they did it. Great song. Great song. Hey, our friend Walter Griffith, Luzerne County Controller, is on the blower regarding Charlie Kirk and the First Amendment. How are you, Walter?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. Bob, how are you?
I'm great now that
Great.
you're calling. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to get on the radio. I just find that the ability for government and organizations to decide who and when someone speaks truth to power and what can be said is a direct violation of our First Amendment rights, obviously. But it needs to stop. It's dangerous. It's inflammatory. And now it's even proven fatal. Charlie Kirk was a wonderful person. He spoke his mind. He spoke what he believed. He spoke to his ideologies, and we should never, ever in this country have that ability to silence someone just because we don't agree with them. And we certainly don't have the ability to actually take their life because of it. And I think that's very unfortunate where the society has gone currently. And we see that currently in the issue that we're having with one of the gentlemen from the county, Joe Grantede, if you've been following that article about his ability to speak out at a Board of Elections meeting. And now they're financially taking him to court, making him defend himself against his First Amendment right, which he clearly was doing. I mean, I was at the meeting. I sat next to Joe, and he spent his time over his 3 minutes. Clearly, he was a little bit boisterous and a little bit vocal about his ability to stop talking when his time was up. But the man sat down when he was told to sit down, and he was sitting there quietly, bothering no one at the time. And the sheriffs came in to disrupt the meetings, and they're the ones who grabbed Joe and told him he had to leave the meeting. Now, he clearly was not doing anything at that time. So I don't understand why they even came in to bother him.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this situation.
Yeah,
That's
and if you watch the
strange.
video, they went to court the other day, and there were some charges dismissed on some of the charges that were dismissed against them. But again, this is another ability for government to stifle people from speaking at meetings. And that's the fear that I have, is the public has a right to speak to their officials. I'm an elected official. If somebody comes and challenges me at a meeting, I have two options. I can either sit there and listen to it, or I can get up and leave. But I don't have the ability to stifle somebody who's the public, who's paying my salary, who stands at the podium and calls me out for something that they feel is not appropriate, and just stifle them by saying, okay, you know what we'll do? We'll have somebody remove you. And now that trickle-down theory goes to everybody in the county who wants to speak at a podium now. When the gavel comes down and says your 3 minutes are up, you can't finish a sentence, you can't finish your thought, with fear that you will be ushered out of the meeting and possibly be charged with a crime because you pushed the deputy sheriff away from you because you weren't doing anything wrong in the first place. So I just think we need to ratchet things down a bit, countrywide, nationally, statewide, and locally, and start allowing people to speak. As you always say, Bob, you can't fix stupid. If somebody wants to say something that's really dumb, we can certainly stand there and listen, but we don't have the opportunity to take and put our hands on somebody and hurt them because we don't agree with them. We could walk away, and we need to stop and take a breath and say, okay, we don't agree with that person, and maybe having a conversation with him in the future is probably not in my best interest. But I just think we've gone to a really dangerous place in this country politically. Mostly it's political.
Yeah.
And we saw it with Rob Bresnahan. We saw it with the governor. We've now saw it with Charlie Kirk, and we've seen it with Joe Grantede. We need to start considering people's feelings and their First Amendment rights to speak. And unfortunately, I think we've gone to a place where I don't know how we get it back to the civil part of our society, but on this date of 9/11,
we just keep moving ahead. We just keep doing it. We just keep speaking. We just keep living the way, in the manner we believe, and speaking in the way we believe and what we believe. We just keep doing it.
Yep, I agree. And I think with 9/11 here and the reflection that we have on that tragic day, and as well as the issues that we have with Charlie Kirk, I think people just need to start thinking about, it's not And I know we are set in our ways. It's a political thing. It's an R against a D all the time, even in Harrisburg and in the Capitol. It's R against the D constantly without any regard for what's best for the people. And I think that needs to stop. These people need to say, you know what, some people have a good idea, and we need to listen to them.
Well,
so I appreciate the opportunity.
Walter, the Democrat Party's got to move beyond the sick, twisted ideology of the left.
Absolutely. And I think the Trump derangement syndrome needs to stop. Listen, I'm not a big fan of everything that Donald Trump does, and I'm not a big fan of a lot of things that Joe Biden did, but he is the president. He does deserve the respect of the office that he's holding, and we need to give that respect to that person and not as the person who's running the country. And if we don't agree with his running the country, we have ways to fix those things. But the ways to fix those things is not to dig our heels in and stop the process, because that hurts the people of the country and hurts the people of the county. Fix the problem and move forward. Don't dig your heels in and say, okay, if it's not my way, nothing can get done. And that's where I think we're in a bad position in this country in general. And unfortunately, I don't know how we fix that other than get people to understand you're there to work for the people that you represent. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all of them alike. And that's where we have to be. And unfortunately, I wish that would happen sooner rather than later. So,
well, thank you, Walter Griffith. Walter
You're
Griffith,
welcome.
Luzerne County Controller. We'll take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with our tribute and a quick tribute to the victims of 9/11, to the people on the plane that crashed in Shanksville that refused to be victims. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute, which today we're using as a tribute to those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001, and to an amazing patriot and force of nature, Charlie Kirk, assassinated yesterday. Brought to you this hour and every hour, this day and every day, by our man and another amazing patriot, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies, from Basiliga Hospitality to Eastern Roofing Systems to J. Bass Realty to Serenity Care. You have to remember if you were alive that day, and you have to consistently reflect on how you felt that day when America was attacked, when those thousands were slaughtered, when those buildings fell, when that plane vaporized in the dust in Shanksville, when the Pentagon burned. America's under attack, and it may not every day be from that specific ideology, radical Islam. But it's on attack. You could call it the left. You could call it anything you want. But the enemies of America are gathering. And these victims have to be remembered. Remember this. All we have to do to honor their memories is vote. We don't have to risk our lives like our veterans. We have to vote. A small, simple act everyone needs to do. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny, 78, very reminiscent of September 11th, 24 years ago. Tonight, clear skies down to 55. Friday, sunny and mild, 78 degrees. Saturday, sunny and mild, 78 degrees. Sunday, partly sunny with a chance of a shower, 78 degrees. Tim McGraw, if you're reading this, Bob Cordaro back on the program, and there's a couple of things, just a bit distressing. You hear the news scripts. Now, we know this, okay? Rob O'Donnell reported it to the program, and the Wall Street Journal confirmed it some 2 hours later, that transgender and anti-fascist ideology was found inside the rifle and on the bullet casings that was used in Kirk's shooting. And I made the conclusion yesterday that it was a sick transgender ideologue and Confederates who carried out this assassination. And the news said cultural issues. This is scripts from ABC, AP, Associated Press. The left wing never quits. They never quit. And they're going to try to silence this incredibly disturbing pattern, which started in Nashville, continued through Minneapolis, the Trump shooting, and now the Kirk assassination. Fact, truth, and reality have to be denied to be a leftist. They have to be. Slick texts in, Bob, LTS, my kids are 22 and are incredibly shaken by the killing of Charlie Kirk. The influence he had on youth who used to be afraid to speak up was incredible, was insurmountable. He will be missed. Yes, he will. Another of our listeners texts in, morning, Bob, I attended the Lackawanna 911 memorial service this morning. Noticeably absent was Commissioner Gaughan and Scranton Mayor Cognetti. Sad state of affairs. It truly is. Somebody said, morning, Bob, LTS. I couldn't help but cry last night. I wanted to say, as usual, the perpetrator is a coward, shooting an unarmed man at 200 yards and running away. Disgusting human being, says Rodney. Yes, indeed. I'm trying to try to understand this. Seems like the party who wants to get rid of guns. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Seems like the party who wants to get rid of guns sure likes to use them and not to hunt deer. I know. Look at living a lie and being a hypocrite is at the heart of leftism, which now owns the political party called the Democrat Party. Cinderblock checking in. First of all, I think the guy that asked Charlie the question just before he got shot needs to be investigated. No doubt. No doubt. Asking him a question regarding transgender and trans violence just before it happened, it's too coincidental. But if it's true he was actually killed by a trans person, it's a tragedy that had to happen. But please let this be the final nail in the coffin for the sick, demented, deranged ideology. Let this be the final shining light that exposes just how twisted these people are. I agree with you, Cinderblock, and we just have to make sure that it's exposed for what it is. For what it is. It is not healthy. It is not normal. It is sick. It is twisted. It is evil. And I'm not talking about people who have gender dysphoria, and I'm not talking about people who, as adults, made the decision that they were something other than the sexual orientation they were born, the sexual biological sex they were born. That's fine. That's your decision. That's you have the freedom and should have the freedom, and we need to protect your freedom to do that. This is something very different. And I've got to say, the left and their speech and their attacks and their characterization of people like Charlie Kirk, people like Donald Trump, people like conservative Christians, that these trans people are going to be erased or killed or removed, all of that sickness that they're being told. Already vulnerable people. And enough of them are acting out in this way. Scary stuff. Charlie Kirk, man, he created Turning Point USA. If any one individual, other than Donald Trump, of course, was to be credited with last fall's election results, it's Charlie Kirk. And so when you say that, you almost say the left had to kill him. And when the news scripts come out, when it's clearly this fake fascism argument and clearly transgender inspired, and it's called cultural issues in the news, you just got to shake your head and say, we have to call it out. We've got to speak to it. We've got to oppose it. We've got to fight it. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Johnny Cash. Ragged Old Flag. We play it in full on Veterans Day. We play it on Memorial Weekend. I want to think of something great. You think of this flag that we love and this country we love. We're going to finish the program with Lee Greenwood, God Bless the USA. A reminder, and I hope to mention it to you tomorrow, my friend Mark Wozniak and my friend Lou Taruso letting me know and reminding me, the Filetes Italian Festival, starting tomorrow. It's the 12th, the 13th, the 14th. Picture Perfect playing tomorrow night. Flaxy Morgan on Saturday. Longo Brothers, Smoke and Mirrors on Sunday. And I'll be there for my Safrit because I can't live without it. Now, before we start Lee Greenwood, I just want to get in here. St. Michael the Archangel. I think of Charlie Kirk, and this prayer was sent to me this morning by one of my friends. And it says, St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, making the ruin of souls. Amen. John from Pittston. Hey, John.
Yeah, that's what I was calling, Bob.
Yep.
I don't have much time, I guess, but the shooting last week in Minneapolis brought back memories when I was in first grade. I had a brother in third grade and seventh grade and a sister in fifth grade, and we were all crammed in there like sardines in a can. And if anybody ever did any shooting then, we were just sitting ducks. I can just imagine what the children went through in Minneapolis. But anyway, that was transgender related, and it's just an example of what Satan can do to people. And this is what's going on in this country, and not only in this country, in the world. I think it has a lot to do with Putin over there, and I'm worried now that this business that's going on in Poland is going to lead to bigger things, because now NATO is getting involved. And they're gonna ask Trump to do something about it, and Trump's going to have to react. But anyway, let me recite the prayer to St. Michael before we end, Bob. Okay?
I just did it.
Oh, you didn't do the whole thing, did you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, Bob, that's why I was calling.
I you know what? And I shouldn't have stole your thunder, but when I saw your name there, I figured if we didn't get to you reading it, I wanted to read it because it needs to be read today.
They should bring it back to the churches more than they do. I know that on Tuesday, the rosary, the fellow that says the rosary on the Mass at noon at the cathedral, he always ends the rosary with the prayer to St. Michael also.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you,
anyway,
John.
Bob, it was good to talk to you, but it's a shame what's going on with the transgenderism. If this is just a signal of what's to come with these people, it's a terrible thing.
Amen.
But I can't imagine, Bob, Charlie Kirk dying at 31. Unbelievable.
Great leader lost.
I hope that they do the death penalty to this fellow, because Utah still has the death penalty, and I honestly think and pray that they bring the death penalty back, because that might act as a deterrent to a lot of these people that are carrying on like they are.
Thank you, John.
And thanks, Bob.
Pleasure.
All right, have a good weekend, Bob. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Lee Greenwood, he's going to wrap things up from us, because I'm watching my Cordaro Jewelers watch, and it's telling me we're just about out of time. We got a final quote from Charlie Kirk to finish this September 11th memorial program, which is also a celebration of Charlie Kirk's life and work. And the great Lee Greenwood singing behind me. We're going to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Developments, stay with WILK throughout the day as developments occur in the investigation of that assassination, and as we continue to commemorate September 11th, 2001. Club for Common Sense adjourned.